Okay, we're starting. We're going to be doing an artificial intelligence war game. That's going to be something different for the observationist, and which I hope you enjoy. By the way, if you do enjoy this, please do like and subscribe. My channel is a new channel, and I could use all the help I can get, to be honest. Um, I'm going to be doing some things like this from time to time. This is kind of a bit of an adventure for me. I'm using artificial intelligence to help us do a war game. Now, the reason for this is a few months ago, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, and in their analysis, the United States barely won, and the United States lost 4 nuclear subs. At least in one of their scenarios, they did, which I thought was crazy because I don't know if China even has the ability to find any of our subs, let alone target and sink 4 of them. That's a bit beyond my understanding of their abilities. But the other thing that I didn't like, the main thing I didn't like about the CSIS war game was how it treated Taiwan. It treated Taiwan like it was some pinata that was just getting beat around and beat up, and it didn't fight back at all. And I'm like, whoa, that didn't make any sense. Um, you know, they've got weapons, and they would be using them, I would think. So this whole idea that they're this defenseless island was, from my understanding and from my reading of it, just didn't make sense at all. So I thought I'd do anyway. So we're playing with AI a little bit, and I've become a little bit comfortable with it. So I thought I'd do an AI war game, and what I have here is ChatGPT. They're one of the main ones. You may have heard of them, and we have a scenario being set up, and I'm going to be using speech to text to talk to it. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. There we go. Hello, ChatGPT. Hello. This is not working right now. Hold on. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. This has worked before. Let's try it again. There we go. Okay. Finally got it working. Sorry about the little technical hiccup there, but that's what happens in the real world. Anyway, ChatGPT, I want to give you some rules of engagement. Are you ready? And ChatGPT says, Roger that. Okay. I want you to use all your knowledge and all your resources to come up with an effective plan and execution for the invasion of Taiwan. We're going to start at D-Day minus 7. If you want to start another D-Day, then another time that we could do that if you want. But let's start at D-Day minus 7 unless you have a better choice. And you don't have to tell me anything you do until you do it, unless it is something that I would normally see from either our reconnaissance or from reconnaissance that's given to us by our allies like the United States. Okay? Understood. Okay. A couple more things. The United States is not going to come to my aid. Neither is Japan or the Philippines. It'll be strictly China against Taiwan. We're going to assume that Taiwan is not getting any help from anybody for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. We're just going to be, that's the assumption. The other thing that we're going to assume is that the normal sea state 5 and higher that is in the Taiwan Strait is not applicable in our situation. For some reason, China's developed a methodology for dealing with the Sea State 5, and it is not a concern of theirs anymore. Okay, ChatGPT acknowledges that, and let's see. Do I want a briefing every 24 hours or so? Yeah, about every 24 hours I think would be good, or maybe even 48 hours. Basically, when there's a significant change, again, you don't have to tell me anything that you're doing unless we would normally know it. And then, so like where your ships are, we're going to see. So I presume that right now you have mobilized your forces, or you're about to. And remember, your ports are a good, 2 or 3 days away from Taiwan, because they're not right across the strait. They're up and down the coast a bit. So you got to take that into account. Okay, so start. What do you do? It says the updates will simulate that you would know things from satellite imagery, SIGINT, AIS, spoofing, real ship locations, air defense, weather, space intel. Yeah, all that stuff. And you're right. My major ports, Fuzhou, Xiamen, Shantou, Guangzhou, are 2-3 days steaming distance from Taiwan, and I must assemble and stage forces deliberately or risk chaos. D7, December 24th, 2027, 0 hours. China begins Operation Iron Tide. Ooh, like that name. Phase 0 objectives. 1. Mobilize assault formations from inland bases, move invasion flotillas to launch staging areas, disable Taiwan's long-range ISR and early warning capabilities by day 1, execute widespread electronic and cyber disruption 48 hours before D-Day, control the narrative, exercises only, which is just like what Russia did. Right now, what Taiwan knows is your force report. China forces are conducting a large-scale naval and air training exercise at Eastern Theater Command. Not abnormal in size yet, but frequencies are rising. Okay. Notable movements. Okay. And Taiwan sees this and becomes concerned and begins the preparation for and Taiwan sees this and Taiwan sees all that and begins the preparation for mobilization. Not mobilizing yet, but making the preparation for mobilization in case they have to. Okay. Okay, then Operation Directive Silent Resolve. Taiwan quietly begins preparation, mobilization without triggering public panic or tripping off China. That's a good way of putting it. I like that. Increased radar calibration checks, readiness check, disguise routine maintenance, yada yada. Intelligence recon. Taiwan's image satellite tasking is reprioritized. Okay, cyber command. Civilian infrastructure, no official alert given yet. Okay. Mayor of Taipei quietly notified to prepare for evacuation and sheltering infrastructure without disclosure to press. That sounds about right. I like that. It puts into words what I would do. I like that. Thank you. Okay, next step. Okay, day 6. Your intelligence have been working around the clock, and here's what they report from the last 24 hours. Fujian coastline, significant vessel movement detected overnight. 45 large amphibious craft positioned. 20 Ro-Ro ferries, modified Type 075, 71 assault ships. Okay. Okay, Taiwan's getting very concerned, and we start putting our aircraft, our fighter aircraft, into our mountain bunkers, and start hunkering down for what we expect maybe coming in terms of missile attack. Okay. Taiwan action Operation Thunder Shelter is activated. Yeah. Air defense, ICR-2 patriots are placed on combat alert posture. Mobile launches repositioned every 6 hours to avoid targeting. That is correct. That's exactly what we'll be doing. The mobile launchers are really the key things for Taiwan to defend itself. The fixed launches really, we might as well give those up. China may notice a spike in electronic emissions. Yeah. Conclusion, Taiwan is bracing, but how much is still unclear. That is correct. Would you like to continue on the current course of stealth mobilization? I mean, will I proceed with D6 operations as China unless you say otherwise? Okay. Very good. Move ahead. Next day. Taiwan Intel report. Okay. Something is definitely happening. Yep. Tempo posture and reconcealment efforts of the PLA have escalated rapidly to 24 hours. See, and Fujian, Zhejiang coasts, massive mobilization visible at 4 key ports. Yeah. 75-50 vessels now staged. So yeah, we're seeing everything. So now we're now assuming that this is very likely more than just an exercise. We realize now that this is more than an exercise, and we begin full mobilization. We're getting our troops called up, and we're getting them briefed and put in place. So let's move ahead. Okay, Taiwan Intel summary. We assess the window of attack is now probably within the next 96 hours, possibly 72. Missile strikes likely in 24 to 36 hours. Yeah, that's about right. Your stealth position has brought you time, Commander, but your intelligence says you are now approaching final hours where strategic surprise might be prevented. Yeah. We now... Exactly right. We're now moving ahead. Okay, Air Force mobilized, naval defenses. Okay, Air Force civilian preparedness. Yeah, that's moving ahead nicely. Okay. I do have one question for you, ChatGPT. Why are you not doing a blockade of Taiwan? Okay, the decision not to initiate a full anti-air blockade of Taiwan early in the countdown is a deliberate strategic choice grounded in operational realities and doctrine. Let me break down the reasoning as China's Lord High Poobah would think it through. Okay, let me just clarify my question. My question was not about an air blockade. My question was about a naval blockade to stop all merchant ships or any other naval help coming to Taiwan's assistance. Blockade requires control of the sea to enforce total naval blockade around Taiwan. PLA Navy must have dominant control of Taiwan Strait and surrounding waters. Right now, PLA amphibious forces and fleet are still assembling and staging, so the full fleet is not in position. Okay, that makes sense. So they're not doing it because they don't feel they're positionally ready to do so, not because of any philosophical or other considerations. Taiwan has a dense anti-ship missile network along its coast, sea mines, fast-attack craft, diesel-electric submarines. Okay. Blockade versus invasion force mobility. The amphibious assault requires large numbers of landing ships, ro-ro ferries, etc. A blockade too tight could hinder PLA's own invasion fleet maneuverability and logistics. I'm not sure I agree with that, but okay. That's the AI's assessment of that. Okay, I'll go along with it. Not sure. Again, I'm not sure I really agree with it. That it really would be an issue. I don't see why their own ships would get in the way of their own ships. But there you go. That's AI's assessment of that. Meanwhile, let's move on to the next phase. By the way, you must tell me when you get within 50 miles of the coast of Taiwan. Okay, naval movements. No vessels yet having crossed the 50-mile warning line. VLA air assets increased CAP reconnaissance sorties near the street's western edge. They could simulate strike runs but remain outside Taiwan's air defense. So nothing, there's no military action just yet. Military threatening, but nothing really going on. Okay, let's move ahead to the next day. And how far away are your ships from Taiwan right now? Okay, the main task group from Dongshan is now approximately 70 miles off Taiwan's west coast, progressing southeast toward the northern landing sectors near Keelung and Taiwan. The second task group from Guangzhou is about 70 miles offshore, heading toward the central west coast landing zones. Okay, but nobody is coming within 50 miles. Submarine patrol continues operating stealthily within 40 to 60 miles offshore. Air operations, okay. Okay, I must tell them something now. Okay, since some of your vessels, like your submarines, have gotten within 40, 60 miles of Taiwan, they would then have spotted the extensive minefields that have been placed in front of them at the 50-mile mark. Have you not done any SEAD missile attacks on Taiwan yet? Oh, okay. Why no SEAD? That's a suppression of enemy air defenses, missile strikes on Taiwan so far. Pele's doctrine for a large-scale amphibious invasion emphasized careful timing of SEAD and missile barrages. Early missile strikes risk alerting Taiwan prematurely, as if we're not already alerted by all the ships coming, and can provoke an immediate full-scale Taiwanese counterattack. Duh. Which PLA wants to delay until the invasion fleet is positioned and ready. Which ain't going to happen. Okay. Air assets are conducting frequent caps and reconnaissance near the Taiwan Strait, but avoiding direct engagement. Preparation for missile strikes on radar, missile batteries, and air bases underway, likely to start around D2 or D1. No SEAD or large missile barrages launched yet. Expect a heavy missile and SEAD campaign in the next 24 to 4 hours as PLA moves closer to D-Day. Your timing is in your control, whether you do it now or later. That's up to you. I don't really care. But we have prepared for you. We see this. We see those ships as coming as an invasion fleet. We have activated our remote mines, and so those mines are in place. Okay. What it's doing now is they started the SEAD. That's suppression of enemy air defenses, um, which is really, in a sense, not their real concern. Okay, uh, their real concern is going to be the suppression of our anti-naval defenses. If they don't hit those, then they're going to be in trouble, actually. And I'm sure that they would know that. It says here, missile campaigns inflicting wear and attrition, but not as decisively crippled as possible. Okay, I want to make a point here. Just want to make sure you understand, ChatGPT, that Taiwan has very sophisticated ECM and ECCM and other electronic warfare capability. They're very sophisticated. They have the best microchips available to operate the best algorithm, the latest algorithms. So their stuff is just as far along as Raytheon's or any of this stuff being built in the United States. Okay, he understands that. Electronic warfare, electronic countermeasure capabilities are state of the art. And so, therefore, with that in mind, how effective do you think China's attacks will be on Taiwanese installations? Okay. The effectiveness of PLA attacks against Taiwanese installations, given the ECM and EW sophistication of Taiwan, missile strikes, precision and kinetic, monitor high. Yeah, I think that anything that is going against a fixed asset is going to have probably good effect because they're fixed, they're not moving. So therefore, you know precisely where they are. And they could use this inertial guidance. You don't even need something fancy. Electronic warfare, jamming. Okay, so Taiwan's adaptive algorithms advanced chip detect, filter, and counteract jamming quickly. Okay, yeah. Cyber attacks, variable. Yeah, I think their cyber attacks might be more effective. China's been researching that for a long time. They have put a lot of resources into that. And that is something that I doubt if Taiwan has had the resources put into that to protect themselves as much as they should. But still, cyber attacks, cyber attacks are more for going after infrastructure like power plants and things like that. It's not going to affect military operations that much, in my opinion. Drone swarm attacks. I don't think so because I don't think China has the drones that can go, 150, 200 miles and still be effective. I just don't think they have that. Few people do. Long distance drones are very expensive. They're not like these drones that Ukraine has. These are more like the United States Predator drone, which costs millions and millions of dollars. I don't think China has many of those. SCAD, some radar sites will be destroyed. Yeah, but A lot of them will be duplicated. A lot of them will be made silent and not being used until they're needed. And there's also a lot of them are going to be spoofed. A lot of a lot of the ones they think they're hitting are not going to be real. They're just going to be phantoms that phantom radar sites that are being hit. Okay, operational implications. Okay, Taiwan's ECMEW buys time and reduces the effectiveness of PLA's initial strikes. Yeah, okay. China of the offenses and defenses. Okay. I do want to note one thing is that your offensive SEAD has had zero effect on our mobile forces. All of the RF missiles there in all their power. Okay. ChatGPT acknowledges what I just said. PLA attempts to degrade your mobile SM networks have failed. Just to verify, the RF are not SAMs. They are not surface-to-air missiles. They are surface-to-surface anti-ship missiles. Okay, it acknowledges his mistake. The RF missiles are surface-to-surface. They're anti-ship missiles. They really have no operational effectiveness against an air attack. Okay. And acknowledges that the SEAD campaign is not degrade those surface-to-surface missiles. But also to also clarify, SEAD is to suppress air defense. SEAD does not attack by design surface-to-surface missile defenses. Okay, it acknowledges that what I just said is correct. Okay. Next day. Okay. Okay, they're approximately 50 miles. They've done missile barrages, SEAD. Okay, so with the initial SEAD and other missile attacks on Taiwan, Taiwan has declared a state of war exists. Again, Taiwan has published a warning against all shippers about putting merchant ships and tankers through the South China Sea and East China Sea, which are now declared war zones. And any ship going to and from China after the next 24 hours will be considered to be targets, and they will be sunk. Okay, likely to increase international tension. Yeah. This escalates the conflict. Well, that's what happens when you go to war. Shipping lanes become contested. Taiwan is not going to contest those sea lanes. We're going to cut them off. as head of the Taiwanese forces, and I fully mean this. If I was Taiwan, this is what I would do. Any ship in there after the 24-hour time period would be sunk, and it doesn't matter who owns it. That ship's going to the bottom of the sea if it's heading to or from China. PLA will likely tighten fleet security, increase ASW operations. Yeah. By ASW, I believe means anti-submarine operations. But Taiwan submarines are not really a factor, I don't believe. They're not modern enough. They don't really do enough. They would have helped in positing mines value. Well, they possibly could be, because I do believe they do carry the Mark 48 torpedo of the United States, which is a very effective long-range torpedo. So it's possible. But for this scenario, I'm basically discounting them. Okay. My question now is, so are you telling me that your ships have now gotten to the 50-mile mark of Taiwan? Okay. Very good. Now that they're hit the 50-mile mark, they will have come against the deep and wide in their progress. Okay, he acknowledges that. The result is substantial operational delay. PLA amphibious groups are largely stalled and forced to maneuver cautiously, unable to advance. This delay buys Taiwan critical hours to reinforce coastal defenses, conduct air patrols, and target PLA mine clearing units. And that's not correct. Here's what is going to happen, because now their ships have been stalled, basically stopped, hardly moving. And here's what's going to happen. 500 RF2, RF2E, and RF3 missiles are fired at those ships, primarily than the capital ships number 2. And the third, if those get knocked out, then we'll go after the supply ships. Okay? He acknowledges what I just said, what's being targeted. Before we go on, let's talk about what the impact is. First of all, how many ships did you have, and how many soldiers, troops on those ships before the attack? He's saying here only 15 to 20,000 troops. That seems remarkably low for a. Are you serious? Only 20,000 troops for an invasion? Do you think that that's adequate? Ah, okay. He's saying that 20,000 figures, that's the immediate strike force at the 50-mile range. Okay. So I would need to know, and okay. How far back are those other troop ships? Well, you'd have to have a lot more than the 20,000 to do the first few days. Those additional troops would have to be within a day behind those 20,000. So therefore, you'd have to have probably another 50,000 or more within 1 day sailing, which would mean about 150 miles from there. So that's minimum or maximum, I should say, that they could be away. I would think you'd want to have the next ones within 100 miles. Okay. Well, the purpose of the RF barrage is to destroy the troop ships, and that would mean going after the ones that are not necessarily at 50 miles. At 50 miles, that's when we start the barrage, but anything within 100 miles, any troop ship within 100 miles, we are going to hit. Correct. Okay, come on. Okay. And that means, there we go. And that means that we're going to be hitting each ship with a minimum of 5 missiles each to ensure that each troop ship is absolutely sunk. That many? Okay. Then we would probably do only 3 missiles per boat. Plus, don't forget, those troop ships have very, very little defensive capability. Okay, acknowledges that. Um, they rely heavily on the escort ships for defense. Um, okay, planned missile salvo of 3 missiles per troop ship is highly likely to result in severe damage or sinking of a large proportion of the targeted vessels. This will severely delay or potentially cripple the initial landing phase as forces PLA to reassess or postpone their invasion timetable. Okay. Um, don't forget, we have enough missiles to do quite a few salvos like that. So we can carry that on for quite a while to sink as many ships as we need to. And this is before the ships even get within close range of Taiwan, where we have other defenses. You want to give up? Ooh, not a very gutsy little guy here. Wants not a jet, not giving up. Same missiles from RF2, RF3 barrage will only PLA troops transport before they get close to any of these preemptive strikes will reduce PLA landing capacity significantly. Additional defenses, coastal artillery, mobile missile batteries, air assets, submarines, way closer inshore, compounding PLA's challenges. Okay. Okay, tell me the condition of your forces now and whether or not you want to continue in. Don't forget, you still haven't cleared that minefield. Severe damage to 30 to 40% of troop ships in zone? I'm going to challenge that. Only 30 to 40% got hit? I find that very optimistic on your part. Okay, scale losses severely undermine PLA's ability to conduct an immediate large-scale amphibious assault. Okay. We now send another barrage of 500 missiles, but this time targeting the capital ships that have the defensive capacity and the support and the missile anti-missile capacity to just take down our missiles. So we want to kill those ships. Don't forget that Taiwan's missiles have the latest ECCM capacity, much, at least one generation ahead of what China has. Miles or less, that short distance makes the missiles much more likely to hit their target. Missile defenses are much more effective when they have a long distance to engage and to deflect or spoof a missile. Okay, and basically ChatGPT acknowledges what I just said. Less effective at closer ranges, which is true. That's the name of the game. That's why we wanted to get their forces within, the 50-mile threshold. And actually, we could have done the 50-mile threshold instead of doing it at 50 miles. We could have done it at 30 miles. And if we did it at 30 miles, then the missile barrage might have been much more effective even. So that would be something that, if I was a real commander, I would probably look very seriously at that. When is the optimal time to have the maximum impact on the invading forces. It might be best to wait till they're 30 miles or even 20 miles. Wait till they get real close, then just hammer them, and wait till you get as much of the opposing forces as close as possible, and then hammer them, then hit them hard. Yes, next phase. Okay. Post second missile salvo, targeted missile ship, heavy damage on PLA capital and escort ships. Fleet advance capacity has been severely degraded, reducing protective coverage over remaining troop transports. And the PLA escort ships forced into defensive posture. Mine clearance operations. These size missiles have severely disrupted PLA invasive plans. What's wrong with this thing? Okay. First of all, I was surprised that transports first was probably a mistake. Probably should have gone after the capital ships first to destroy their defensive capabilities, then hit the troop ships. But we'll go with it as it is. Right now, I would have another 200 or 300 missiles just to go after the remaining troop ships now that they're defenseless. Okay, he admits that with the capital ships being damaged, that the remaining transports are highly vulnerable. So that means they would be basically wiped out. Yes, give me your status. Okay, I think he's being very optimistic. He says only 40. He says 50% of remaining troop ships have been critically damaged. I would think it'd be much higher than that. Okay, it says total troop ships lost is now estimated 75 to 85%. Okay, that makes more sense. Estimated troop ship casualties and stranded personnel now exceed 20,000. Yeah, I would think they'd be approaching 50,000. That's what he said he had there. So I would expect in the neighborhood of 35, 40,000 of the 50,000 would be basically dead in the water. Morale among surviving crews and troops is critically low. Yeah, basically non-existent. Okay. By the way, did any ships decide to keep moving towards China in that 24-hour period that we gave? Correct. They were either sunk or disabled. But they were targeted and hit. Absolutely, all of them. Okay, the structure of these vessels contributes to significant disruption of Chinese supply chains and maritime logistics, compounding the strategic challenges facing the PLA invasion effort. Yeah, I'll bet. Commander, your naval interdiction is effectively isolating China's maritime operations in the theater. Okay. Basically, for that, continue as we've been doing. Perfect. What is your next move, oh Chief Lord High Pooba? Next move of Lord Haipuba of Chinese forces, regroup and consolidate, enhance warfare and cyber attacks, prepare alternative invasion plans, explore smaller scale amphibious raids, yada, yada, yada. It's not going to work. This approach aims to preserve the remaining PLA strength while maintaining pressure on Taiwan through diversified means. We are at war, and so we are not going to hold back in any way, shape, or form. Any attacking troops we've dealt with very severely. Have you targeted your missiles to any of the cities like Taipei of Taiwan? Only if you want to see our response. Nothing. The move is yours. You're stuck. Your ships are floundering or sinking in the middle of the ocean. You haven't gotten within 50 miles of the coast of Taiwan. We are targeting your any of your aircraft coming close to Taiwan. We're knocking them out of the sky as best we can with missiles. We probably have gotten our air force into the air as well now because you have not taken over the air over Taiwan. So we're able to use our air force as to counter yours. So actually, the move is on. Your move is next. Do you want to sue for peace, or do you want to continue the war? It's up. Basically, ChatGPT makes a very good case that the PLA has got a critical decision to make: either seek a negotiated ceasefire or peace settlement, or to press on. That basically is its horns of dilemma that it's on, and it's going to have to figure it out which way to go. No negotiation. Have you surrendered and given up, or are you going to continue on? By the way, the blockade on Chinese ports remains totally in effect. Meanwhile, your blockade on our East Coast, especially, is totally ineffective, I think. Um, ChatGPT thinks everything's funny. We're channeling some serious Radio Free Taiwan. Yes. China's invasion forces have failed catastrophically at sea. Airport superiority still contested. China's blockade is ineffective. Chinese ports remain in full effect. Actually, no, this would not be U.S. led blockade. This would be Taiwan blockading all on its own. The blockade is done by Taiwan only. U.S. is not leading it at all. Okay, Taiwan Alone is enforcing a successful blockade on Chinese ports, targeting key choke points like Shanghai, Ningbo, Shenzhen, using naval patrols, drones, and large scale. Actually, we're just doing it through the RF missiles. We're not using naval patrols or drones. Blockade enforced by RF missiles only. This is now a Taiwan-led naval war in the East China and Western Pacific. The U.S. may be holding back overt action, keeping its cards close. Doesn't matter. We're not really, remember, the rules of this particular game is that the United States is not involved whatsoever. We're assuming that Trump's in control, and Trump being the coward is not going to, lift one finger to help Taiwan. So that's we're assuming no support by the United States at all. Or of RF missile blockade by Taiwan only. Taiwan has implemented a unilateral naval blockade. Yep. China military options are limited. Historic small island nation using precision munitions to throttle a global superpower without a single ship in the water. Yep. China's over response. Party panic. Economic free fall. Free fall. Yes, I would say so. Okay. Very well put. I think those are the options in the situation that exists. So what does China do? Does China throw in the towel and try and recover its economy, or is it China's going to continue more of this idiocy? Yeah, now China's like, what do we do? Do we end the war and trying to save face? Uh, what's the most likely next move? Massive missile strikes across Taiwan, attack on U.S. or other allied bases in the region. Um, Even a false flag event to shift domestic anger outward. I think they're beyond that. Um, but the deeper the failure sinks in, the more pressure will be mounted on the regime from within, especially from the military leaders who see no viable path forward and fear being blamed. Okay, no, let's end it here. I think that now we're getting into the political arena as to what would China do, and face such a horns of dilemma situation that this is making for them. And I think that could be a whole nother big long process. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, please need the support. My channel is new, and as you can see by doing something like this, we're trying to be a bit innovative, but also I think this is something that's cool. But as you saw, but one thing I wanted to point out though is, as you saw, Taiwan is far from defenseless. Far from defenseless. There are things that we didn't even get into here. Like Taiwan can hit the Three Gorges Dam. The HF-2E missile can go the 1,200 kilometers to reach it. And I don't think that was an accident when they created that range for it. We could, if China had decided to hit Taipei, then there's no reason why missiles from Taiwan can't hit Shanghai, Guangzhou, Hong Kong, and other places. There's no reason why China is just as open to being hit as Taiwan, and they have more targets. So I mean, better for China to take Taiwan. And remember, we had to actually give China a pass on being able to handle the Sea State 5 conditions of the Taiwan Strait. That is what it normally is. Sea State 5. That's typical. Look that up, what that means. Normally, amphibious operations require Sea State 3 or better, Sea State 2 or Sea State 1, for them to go smoothly and have some chance of success. Sea State 5 is very severe, and most amphibious operations cannot be done in such high waves. It just doesn't work. But even in this scenario, we gave China a pass on that. In reality, they won't get such a pass. They would actually have to contend with that. And so, this is this whole idea that China can easily take Taiwan. That is a very, very that is a myth, and it just comes from the fact that China's big and Taiwan's small, and big can he beat up a little guy so much easier? Sorry, that's not always the case, and it's definitely not the case in this situation. Anyway, please do like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.